we're back, and my desk looks kind of clean if you don't look off to the sides at all. What are we doing today is the usual question I ask at the start of most videos. You'll probably guess from the fact that I have a couple of GoPro Hero 7 Blacks here that this is going to be GoPro related. Well, we have a whole bunch of stuff off to the side here. In my collection, which I'll show you soon, I have a brand new lifting kite that I plan on using for kite aerial photography. Now, I've given it a little bit of a test run, which you can probably see some of the results here. Now, if I've done this right, I should have picture-in-picture somewhere on one of the sides of the screens, wherever it fits. Let's shift these guys over here. We'll stick it on this side. Now, this is only about a 3-minute flight, of which I've probably abridged a little bit. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle the editing. It had been supplied with suitable kite line. I'd ordered a nice little fancy hand reel to try this out with, and it had lighter line on it. So I got this camera up reasonably well for a first test until that line busted and my GoPro come flying back to the ground, albeit a little bit slow. And the kite is a foil type kite, so it acts a little bit like a parasail. It was a gentle landing for the camera, but these GoPros are tough little critters anyway. So I have re-spooled that reel with the supplied line, albeit probably about 15 meters short of the 100 that they've supplied with it. But we'll see how this project evolves. Anyway, let's go back to standard ratio with all these cameras. I have a project in mind. Let me grab something. Now, in addition to the heavier line, I also decided I'm going to make what's called a Picavet, which is basically a balancing or a leveling platform for my camera. It also needs to be lightweight, although this camera is good about 50 kilos of lift. It's a pretty big kite. I've decided I'm going to use the top off the GoPro display box that mine came in. It's a nice little light mount, but that allows me to put 4 holes in the corner and some little eye bolts in there and make a Picavet mount. So that's pretty well what we're doing today. We're going to make the load leveling thing for the kite. I'm planning on attaching to the kite string using these clips. Now, most guys will get the kite in the air and then they'll open this and do a couple of loops with a line around there. That's good if you're experienced, but you do need a belt around your midsection to hold the kite whilst you use 2 hands and gloves to do that. I also have this nice big, so I would say D-ring, but it's not a D shape, it's a triangle link, so that I can do that. However, what I think I'm going to do is put a couple of pre-positioned loops in the line to attach these two, just till I get the hang of what I'm doing with the kite, because I'm fairly new to kite aerial photography. But it is a damn sight easier than a drone, and cheaper, and also less legalities involved. So for me, I should be able to actually do some chase shots on the Argo, or at least that's what I'm hoping to do with kite photography. It also means if I get out on the water, the kite might give me a bit of additional pull across the water. But anyway, we'll see how all this goes. Let's get drilling with some holes in the corner here and see if we can come up with a Picavet mount. Okay, so the first step was to undo the mods that I'd already done to this. I had attached the strap that you saw earlier with a couple of bolts to make this useful to strap onto something. But I've never really had much of a use for a strap on, so we're going to turn this to a Picavet and see how that goes. So let's find a drill of some kind and drill some holes. With magic, we've drilled holes. All I had to do was wait a bit. Now we've got to take a couple of these eye bolts out of the packet with my Leatherman that now has black jaws on it. It actually did work as planned. It's a good reminder not to cut live 24 volt cables with your Leatherman. Probably turning them off is generally advisable. Now, the question I had when I bought these eye bolts off the shelf was, are they going to be too long or too heavy? They're actually pretty lightweight, but I reckon I can probably get my little ultra thin zip disc and on the angle grinder and cut these off. Hopefully if I don't melt it. That little foam pad's going to be nice. It might actually make a little isolator so I don't get so much string noise into the camera. Although, being up in the air, there's going to be a lot of wind noise, so I don't predict that I'm really going to have much usable audio anyway. Alright, so there's our eye bolt is going to fit in nicely like that. I haven't made one of these before, so this is going to be a learning experience for me too. And I'm a bit of a, look, I would use the retard word, but I think that's a bit insulting to people who have mental disabilities. However, I don't really possess the language to find the right way to insult myself without insulting somebody else. I think the word special is even taken. So let's have a think about here. Let's use my grasp of the English language. Let's say I was a little bit absent-minded and put it in the wrong direction. There we go. Alright. Actually, the foam might actually hold that in position kind of nicely. But anyway, I'm going to need to do that 3 more times. So let's do that. Alright, and just like that, the rest are done. Now, according to the Instructable I'm following with this, all these eyes need to be in the same direction. That doesn't seem to make sense to me, but, you know, I'm going to follow it. There's going to be a reason why. That's not normally my reason for doing things, is because somebody says it should be done that way. Often I've got different ideas. Anyhow, whilst this looks like a nice little miniature coffee table right now, I do need to probably cut the lengths of those off because it will interfere with getting the GoPro on. These are done up nice and tight, so they're actually tight on the bottom of the thread, but they still can twist a little bit. That's not going to be a huge issue. The foam pads are going to stop them twisting a little bit. Now, normally with a Picavet mount, most of them I've seen are square and symmetrical. I'm not sure if that's going to mess with the geometry, but I'm doing it this way because of, well, that's what I've got. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's go find my angle grinder and knock these screws down a bit. Alright, that's the bolts cut off. I did drop it off the vise at some point and it chipped the corner. I don't expect that'll be a huge problem. Still quite structurally sound for the task at hand. It is also just that little bit lighter now, which will be nice. Alright, what's next? I guess string is the next bit. We're going to need these guys. Let's get some tags pulled off these things and find some string. Alright, so this is the reel that was supplied with the lifting kite, or the foil kite I've got. We loaded as much as we could onto the other reel, and there's probably still about 10 or 15 meters on there. Okay, so this is the other reel. We've loaded the absolute maximum we can on here, probably a bit more than should be on here. But I didn't want to have to be joining lines, so hopefully that'll be enough line to get it up at a reasonable height. The problem we've got too, when it's so high, it does tend to ride off the spool. Anyway, this spool has a nice little locking handle here that, if you get it in the right position, you can fold that out and wind everything on, and then you can lock it in position like that. It's got a little locking piece there. And a nice little spool here. The previous footage you saw at the start of this video, yeah, here's what happens, by the way. If you handle it wrong, it spools it off the wrong one. This is just a symptom of having it over full. Now, side effect of what happened with the previous line, it almost cut through here. It had so much pull on that kite. So I'll have to be careful of it with this one and maybe position it the other way up. I have attached the clips and whatnot on here. Try handling kite line, guys, when you've got limited dexterity from attacks of MS. It's actually up there and one of the more irritating things to do. Anyway, we've got the swivel here and the little hasp clip. I'm not sure what these are called. I see them in fishing gear all the time, but that'll be useful to know. Anyway, basically we're going to get some of the excess line that we didn't use. We're going to use this for the Picavet mount, and it's nasty stuff. I hate working with it, but it's actually ideal for the job. And for this, I'm going to use my little Mr. Stoner Torch blue here to seal the ends, because it's a synthetic rope. So let's have a look at the diagram I've got on my Instructable up here, and we'll see if I can get this right. Alright, we're looking at the instructions here on how to run all the ropes now, or lines. For the visual learner like me that likes good images like this, and shows how to do stuff, this is actually a little disorienting, and I reckon this is a recipe for getting it wrong. I'm going to find a different instructable. Yes, it might look sensible to most of you, but it doesn't to me. By the way, this is the way that they're showing to hook it onto the kite string. I've got a slightly different way, but this method requires you to have it in the air already. For my applications, that's going to be a bit inconvenient. Anyway, this little setup here is what we want. I'm going to find probably a video or a picture that will give us a look. So let's see how we go. By the way, if you're looking for the instructables here, this is the link up here. We'll scroll through all of that. Okay. Anyhow, let's move on. All right, a little bit more research here, and I found this website about a Picavet. And I was pronouncing it wrong. It was Picavet, not Picavet. Named after its French inventor. So the name, I was correct. It did sound French. Anyway, let's have a look. Somewhere in here, there is a rigging diagram here on how to rig it. So let's have a look and see. I did see in the preview. Here we go. This shows us how to rig it in an animation. Magic. This is exactly what I wanted. All right. So I can do it as a single run. All right. That should help. All right. I'm going to follow that animation. I'll give it a bit more of a full screen for you guys so you can see how we're supposed to be doing this. We go up and through. That's the bit that was actually the hardest piece of information to find, was that. So give me a few minutes and I'll rig this up. Right, I think I've probably got this rigged. I'm using a key ring in the middle here to hold these two. I stuck this up here with blue tack just so I had a bit of an idea. I stuck this down with blue tack, and I've been, let's see where I went through. I started with one, and then I went through this ring, and then I went, where did I go? Let's go. Let's look at my animation for a minute. I started with here. I went across through this ring, through the back one, and up. Then I went back down again through the ring and through this one. Then I went through the rear, up and around the top, and then through the front again. And then I'm going to tie off to here. Crucially, I'm not tying off here. All these can slip and slide. I'm pretty sure that is critical to how it behaves. We'll see. Anyway, I'm about to tie this off. I'm taking an arbitrary guess at the length here. We'll see how it goes. Right, slightly different angle here. I've got it all tied off. Let's see if I can lift this up. It is stuck down to the bench, but this should allow us, regardless of the angle, to move around. I've got a bit of blue tack for weight. If I lift, what I'm doing off the camera is I am lifting one loop and not the other. And so that should change. Normally, if these were all fixed, that would change the angle. Whereas this is slipping quite nicely and sitting very level. It's very good. Let me see if I can find a better camera angle. Slightly messier camera angle. Let's see how we're going here. So, if we get this at its initial leveling point, if I drop one of these loops like this, it should stay level at whatever I've set it at, which I think I can adjust. That's probably part of the problem here. I've got a piece of string tangled down there. Right, there we go. So now, as I move each one of these up and down, this should stay mostly level. It'll probably work better with a bit of weight on it, but I think I've actually successfully made a Picavet. So one of the things we do want to do is shorten some of the tails on here without damaging any other cord. I'm going to use some sharp flush cutters here, and then just a quick little touch with a torch here, and a bit of a wriggle in the fingers. That should stop it fraying. And I've tied a double granny knot. I know it seems like it's probably the most basic of all knots, but it's not coming undone, I'll tell you that much. Not in kite string anyway. Alright, I think we have ourselves a Picavet. I might attach a GoPro on that and do a little bit of GoPro footage and see how it looks. Okay, so let's, I've got my GoPro hanging here, and I've got one end of the Picavet mount off one of the hooks I have up here to hold this extraction fan, which is sitting in the wrong spot. Let's fire up our camera. Hopefully this auto flips. Let's start our camera up. Okay, and we appear to be recording. Right, we are. Now let's pull one of these loops down and up. That should keep a nice level platform. That'll be nice. It'll probably still swing around a bit in the wind, but there's not much I can do about that. That will be up to motion stabilizing feature of the GoPro. Alright, GoPro, stop recording. Voice control even works, and it understands Aussie accents, which is nice. I don't have anywhere I can hook this up. Alright, so that's my Picavet mount. That will be handy. I'll get a screen grab off this bit for the video. And yeah, hopefully that's handy for you guys. We'll see the results of that in the field soon enough. There is a little bit of wind today, but nowhere near enough to get that kite off the ground. So I might have a wander over to the nearby oval and see if we can do something about it. Anyway, hope it was fun. We'll see you in the next one. So I thought I'd make a little addendum to this video. I couldn't wait, so I took it out and had a shot at it. I'm really going to need more string on this spool. I'm almost out, but the belt system is working nicely. And you definitely need gloves. That's one thing I have learned. Into this, you need gloves. This kite's working really well. The leveling bracket is working very well. I've got to add that word to my vocabulary. It's not particularly new to me. It's not particularly common to my tongue. What is it? Panchet? I can't remember now. Anyway, it's working very, very well. And I should probably note that about probably 6 hours has passed since I recorded the last clip. Any case, what we'll do, we'll stick on the end of this some video from the camera that's swinging around up there. I don't know how steady it's going to be. It's swinging around pretty wildly at the moment, so I'll try and find a nice little steady part of the video and put that in for you. So I'll leave us with some parting footage of the wetlands. See you later.